Hello everyone, Jurassic Man here, and today we're going to be finally taking a look at the new Jurassic World Battle Damage Spinosaurus. For years, yes, literally a year has passed since the whole Spinosaurus event happened, and rumors of a Battle Damage Spinosaurus would come out due to Target's lack of receiving the Spinosaurus, which in my belief, is on par with Target's fault and not Mattel's. If anything, Mattel probably tried to do it, but for some reason, Target says, nope, more T-Rexes. And they're like $5 off in like Target if you go to them. But either way, off track, Walmart finally delivered by giving us a Spinosaurus. And no, they're not coming in like small waves. I've been seeing people, they're coming in huge bundles, meaning they are stocking these guys. However, because they're doing that, it is becoming very hard to find it due to people like scalpers. So, before I get into it anymore, let's get right to the view. Now, the Spinosaurus is a complete different coloration and style than that of the original. Now, there are some positives and negatives to this new Spinosaurus, and I'll go into that later, but right now, I just want to show off the box it comes in. It comes in this nice long box, very similar to that of the Indominus Rex box, which means it's not going to be cut in half like right here for the Spinosaurus, like unlike its original counterpart. Another thing I need to note is that this Spinosaurus is battle damage, which means it comes with a new battle damage feature, which I'll show off in a minute. But as we take a good look at the box, it's pretty much the same as that of the Indominus Rex. If you look at the back of the box, which is going to take a while because this guy, it's a pretty long box. If you take a look at the back of the box, it shows the new feature along with a nice diorama of the Spinosaurus. It shows the action feature, the flip down body parts. It will show more on the battle damage line, like the blue, the Stygimoloch, and of course the Pteranodon. It also has the old logo for the app, so this is definitely one that was supposed to come out this year and not next year. So, without further ado, let's get right into the figure. Now, let's get to the story on how I got the Spinosaurus, because it's one that's not very interesting. Yes, I know, why am I putting it here when it's not interesting? Well, that's because I didn't find the Spinosaurus. I had to order it online. And I want to talk about that in a separate video that I'm planning on the positives and negatives of ordering online than going and finding it in stores. But I had to order it online because I could not find it anywhere. The nearest Walmart that actually did have the Spinosaurus was all the way across LA. And from where I'm living, that's like a 20 or 30 minute drive. And even if I do go over there, what are the chances that it's actually there? Because BrickSeek is not 100% accurate. So I had to break it and just buy it in store, which is probably better in my chances of finding the Spinosaurus. I mean, that's how I got my last one, so what are my chances of finding the Spinosaurus in the future? Maybe I'll probably see like 1 or 2 times in my visits to Walmart. So, I don't want to get into much of the articulation and the sculpt, because I already covered that in the previous Spinosaurus review, which you could go check that out. But, like the previous one, this is an amazing sculpt. The articulations are very well, and the sculpt, along with the colors, does bring it out more. The colors on the Spinosaurus is very reminiscent of the Suchomimus, which I can't get out at the moment because it's surrounded by its toys. But the Suchomimus does share the very same coloration, so does the Spinosaurus now. Since the Spinosaurus is also a Spinosaurid, which Suchomimus is part of, so it kind of makes sense they would have shared the same colors, but kinda not. Either way, this Spinosaurus figure is just awesome. I love the coloration, and I don't really have a problem with it. Everyone seems to have a problem with it. If there's one gripe, is that the nails or the claws aren't painted like the original one. And of course, the tail isn't painted like the original one. Because if you remember, the original one had the red going all the way from the back, and the underneath color going all the way to the tip. This guy does not have any underneath color as far as I can see. Instead, he only has 2 types of colors. This naval blue color and this yellowish gold coloration that it has spreading throughout his body. Unlike the other Spinosaurus, it does not have an underbelly or a cert coloration, which this guy only has two. Another thing I need to note is that the eyes are slightly more greener, like more of a lime green. And the inside of the mouth is nicely well sculpted and painted. Although there's a lot of bleeding on mine right here, but I'm not really much interested too much to the paint as long as it looks nice in my perspective. So there's that. Joints I want to get into before I get into the battle damage feature. The joints on the Spinosaurus is terrible. I'm not saying that the original Spinosaurus' joints were bad. No, I really like them. It's the battle damage version that's bad. Unlike the original one that had more locks on their legs and more tighter joints, this guy has very loose joints. This leg still has the crack. This one does not. For some reason, I think it might be busted, but it doesn't want to stay put. So putting it into an upright position like the old Spinosaurus does not do well because his leg will slide forward and eventually will drop the Spinosaurus. Arms are a lot smoother to control now, which is good in my part, but it's hard to articulate the arms when the front leg or the left leg keeps falling forward. Tail on his Spinosaurus is a bit of an improvement. It's still short, but the joint on it is a lot more stiffer than the old one, because the old one you could just do that and the tail will go up. This one has a bit more force into it, so that's good. The neck, on the other hand, is a little bit of a disappointment for me. Unlike the old one, it does not have the creaking noises that it makes, so that's good. It still has a nice feel of articulation, but the neck seems to not able to hold its head, because after a while, it just falls over. Yes, I know it's a little nitpick, but I kind of liked it when the Spinosaurus had stiffer joints. In my opinion, stiffer joints on figures are much better. Yes, there is a chance of breaking the figure, but I'd rather risk breaking the figure than having the figure so loose it could not even stand without some sort of support. So, since this is a chomping Spinosaurus, it does not have electronics so far yet, but the chomping mechanic is a lot more smoother than the old Spinosaurus, I gotta say. The tongue, it still sticks out like that, which is pretty cool. But now I'm getting to the new feature of the Spinosaurus, and that is battle damage feature. Now it has this skin piece right here, unlike the old Spinosaurus. And I really like the skin piece because it's actually made of rubber, which is cool. A rubber dino damage piece, or in this case, battle damage piece. Now it does stick out a little bit, so that does give away from its visibility, but same with the old ones too. But it sticks out so you can stick your finger right underneath that skin and it falls down, revealing his insides, including his ribs and his gut. But what's that in the middle? Well, that's part of the next feature, which you pull the rib cage down and it shows this large ball right here, which seems to be guts and veins. Now, my old Spinosaurus does not have this feature, and which is a button on the back of the cell. And when you press that down, the little blood inside starts to move. And it does a little swervy thing going on right here. Now, this is going to be a little off topic, but this is actually part of a design I made. This Spinosaurus, where you see right here, was made by me 1 month ago, or 1 month before Mattel revealed the Spinosaurus figure. At the time, I did not know there was going to be a Spinosaurus figure. So I created my own based on the extreme chomping line because I feel like that was the most reasonable part. And it had a button in the back of the fin. Either someone of Mattel might have saw that, or I may have predicted it long before this feature would be in use. Of course, now we know that the chomping feature works better on the front of the head than in the back. But now this button can be utilized, and I think that's pretty cool that a little feature that I created myself is now being used here. I'm not taking part, maybe somebody else did it before I did it, but I'm taking credit for it because I'm the only one who knows about wanting to add a button on the back of the cell. So that's cool. My only problem with this battle damage feature is this bottom part right here where it all connects. Because someone could easily push it, or maybe something like this, and it falls over and it just falls apart or breaks. Because it's on one single joint, and there's a very good chance of that joint ripping over time, especially with this rubber. Not saying it will rip, like, degrade like the old Indominus Rex, but like, with enough force it will break off because it's plastic and rubber. But yeah, this Spinosaurus, compared to his old counterpart, has some pros and some cons. Some positives, some negatives. And this Spinosaurus proves that it can do well in most parts, but not so well in other parts. Meaning that Mattel must make sacrifices in order for new improvements, like the lack of paint on the nails to a new battle damage feature, the lack of paint on the tails for much more mobile joints. So let's get right into comparisons. The first comparison is obviously the old Spinosaurus. Now, as you can see, this Spinosaurus is my close old one, which means they're both online buddies. But this Spinosaurus is from Walmart and this Spinosaurus is from Target. Hopefully in the future we get a Spinosaurus figure that goes into both retail stores. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, considering how the Spinosaurus is still being sold in Smithy in the UK, while this guy is recently new and is selling in Walmart. So, in a very strange way, if you live in Europe, you could probably get both Spinosauruses at the same time if you want. Not in the same store, but in the same country. And maybe in person. Who knows? I don't know. So, I want to show the little features. Obviously, the Spinosaurus new one has a more softer joint, while the other one has a more restricted joints. Of course, it has that creaky neck, while this one does not. Of course, it doesn't have the battle damage feature, but you know what? At least this Spinosaurus can stand upright without falling over, unlike this one. You see? What did I tell you? So bow before your new king or queen, whatever you view the Spinosaurus as. And of course we have a comparison with Alan Grant, a very common figure for the Spinosaurus, or a very common figure to have in this line. I'm pretty sure everyone here has at least one Alan Grant. So here's a comparison with that with the Spinosaurus if you still haven't gotten the Spinosaurus. Okay, we're done. And it didn't do well. And here's a comparison to my recent repaint figure, the retro-inspired 2005 Tyrannosaurus Rex Extreme Chomping T-Rex, compared to the Spinosaurus. Now, I'm pretty sure these two are compatible because the Extreme Chomping T-Rex is supposed to be more on the smaller scale of the Spinosaurus, compared to that from Jurassic Park 3. So these guys are very compatible, but so is the other one. But, you know what? If I had to say, I really did a good job on my T-Rex repaint, but compared to my repaint to an official repaint, I gotta say they're both pretty good. Sorry, trying to advertise a little bit here. If you want to check out my repaint video on this T-Rex, you can see it down in my videos, and I hope you guys like it. Alright, there's my review with the new Battle Damage Spinosaurus figure from Mattel. What do I gotta think about this figure? Well, like I said earlier, this guy does have a little bit of joint problems with it. So, there's not really much to it, I can say, other than it's really good and a much better improvement of the old Spinosaurus. But other than that, there could be some works to it. Maybe it's just my version, so I'm got the bad luck of it. If that's the case, then I'm pretty sure this Spinosaurus is a much better improvement of the old one. Although I do prefer the old one because A, it has a nice accurate coloration, and of course B, because this is probably more rare than this guy. So, if I had to make a score, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Because, like I said, mine has a little bit of problem with the joints, but hopefully in the future I do find some with better joint controls to it. I like the action feature, I like it. It's not really the best I can think of, but I like it. I just wish more herbivores had the battle damage feature, because it makes more sense to me. This guy retails for at least $29.99 in Walmart only, and I have a feeling that if this guy does stock up much more better than that of the old Spinosaurus, maybe compared to that of the Thrash and Throw T-Rex, we can see the Spinosaurus sitting in Walmart shelves collecting dust. And you know what? I'll be happy to see that. So, hope you guys liked this review. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.